So there's a common misconception when it comes to what people think that rich people or wealthy people look like. And if you wanted to find out what those types of people act like or what they do, then you came to the right video, because today we're going to discuss what actual wealthy people look like and go through some of the tips and tricks throughout this video of becoming wealthy from the book, The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. So what's going on, guys? It's Brendon and welcome back to another video. So as I said, today we're going to be discussing and reviewing the book, The Millionaire Next Door. I just read this book recently and I think it was really eye-opening about what the statistics show about what wealthy people do and what wealthy people actually look like within this country, because I believe there's common misconception when it comes to what wealth actually looks like. People associate wealth more with material things and outer appearances from other people, but what Thomas Stanley discusses in this book is that a lot of wealth is what's not seen. So today we're going to discuss some of those things and let's get right into it. So the first major point that Thomas Stanley brings up in the book is that wealth is what you accumulate and not what you spend. So he talks about in the book how a lot of people, when they get more money, when they get a raise at their job, when they come into more money, they typically spend more money to appear to other people that they have money now. So they'll go out, buy a bigger house, buy a nicer car, go on fancier vacations to portray what they believe is what wealthy people do with their money. It brings up the fact that material possessions really doesn't have any correlation with the amount of wealth that somebody has, because a lot of the people within the US don't buy these materialistic items, and these people are some of the richest people in the world. So just going based off of that fact that most of the wealthy people aren't actually going out and buying these really expensive cars or houses, this relates to another point that he makes in the book, where most people that you think are rich aren't really rich. So the people that you see driving the nice cars, having the big houses, or going on expensive vacations, if you took a deeper dive into their actual financials and looked at their actual net worth, is what he believes is more of a deciding factor if somebody is wealthy or not, then you will see that these people really aren't as rich as you think they are. They just appear rich on the outside. And he makes the point that it's easier for somebody to buy these material items and portray wealth than to actually go out and gain it itself, because tomorrow I can go out and open up a credit card and go on a shopping spree at Gucci, buy a new car, and buy a bigger house, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I can afford to do that. But people outside looking in think that I have the money to be able to live this lifestyle when I'm just putting up a facade for other people. And he also talks about how people put up facades for people that they don't really care about. So you should really look into yourself when it comes to what you're purchasing and what's the reasons that you're deciding to purchase some of the things that you do, and make sure that it's for your own benefit or your enjoyment and not just for showing off for other people that really don't care about you and you don't really care about them. Thomas Stanley really makes the point that you shouldn't get caught up in this cycle of just working to earn money just to spend it on material items, and then working this same kind of, hamster wheel kind of mentality where you're just stuck, because the more money you make, the more money you spend. So you're just going to keep having to work harder to be able to keep up with the lifestyle that you created if you're out buying expensive things that you can't necessarily afford. And he's saying that a lot of the people that are doing this because of other people. So forgetting about all the materialistic items, what Thomas Stanley equates to having wealth is what you have in your net worth. And net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So this is more about your investments and assets that you have outside of work, because as I'll explain later, income really doesn't matter when it comes to wealth building at all. And in the book, he gives a formula to show for people to help calculate if they're in the right wealth category or not. This formula is basically your age times your pre-tax annualized income divided by 10. So if you're 41 years old and you make $143,000 from work and you make $12,000 from investments that come in, then you would take $155,000, multiply it by your age of 41 to get $6,355,000, and then you divide that by 10 to get a net worth that you should be at your age and at your income of $635,500. So this might not apply to everybody, but he just gave this as a simple formula that you can use for yourself to see if you're within the net worth that you should be at your age and at your income level. And throughout the book, he gave examples of people people that were below this. So you have people that have a high income, but they don't have the amount of net worth because they go out and spend all their money. And then you have the opposite example of somebody with a lower income, but they have a high net worth because they know how to save and budget and invest their money. So he splits these two kinds of people into two categories, and one is called a UAW and the other is a PAW. UAW is a under accumulator of wealth, and a PAW is what he calls a prestigious accumulator of wealth. So if whatever you calculate for your age and income is higher than what the number that came out of, then you're considered a PAW, meaning that you're good with your money. You're at a higher net worth than what is supposed to be like the average for your age, and that means you're on the right track. But if you're below that, then you're considered a UAW, which is an underachiever, and that means you're not where you should be at in terms of your net worth for your age and your income. So you might need some extra work. Throughout the book, he basically compares the UAW to a PAW and some of the tips and secrets to become a PAW. So we're gonna go through that now. So the first difference between an underachiever and a prestigious achiever is that underachievers spend more than they make and prestigious achievers live below their means. He talks a lot about the book about living below your means and being frugal. And this is based off what I talked about earlier about not worrying about what other people think because of the things that you own or because of the house that you live in. And he says it's smarter to live under your means and to spend less than you make so that you have room to use that leftover money to be able to save it and invest it. Underachievers are the people that go out and maybe they make $100,000 a year, but they're spending $150,000 a year with credit cards and shopping sprees and things that they can't afford. So they may look rich from the outside, but at the end of the day, their finances show that they're really in debt and they really can't afford the things that they're doing. So the first biggest thing that you have to do is to live below your means and to be frugal. Now, the second difference is that underachievers want instant gratification and prestigious achievers are patient. So this goes into the same thing where I just made some money, now I want to go instantly spend it and reward myself for making that money. That's what an underachiever would do. But if you want to think of prestigious achiever would go out and be patient, put their money in, say, like a safe investment, like I talked about S&P 500 index, and wait a couple years for that money to multiply. And then when they 10x their money 10 years down the line and they were being patient and being frugal, now they can start enjoying the rewards that they have. So being patient is one of the biggest keys in wealth building in general, because you need more time to be able to accumulate more wealth. And you just don't always want to go out and spend the money that you make just because it makes you feel good in the moment. You have to have a long-term vision and not just like short-term gratification for wealth building in general. So next, one of the biggest takeaways that I got from the book was that underachievers solely focus on offense and prestigious achievers focus on both offense and defense. So offense in the financial world is just saying how much money you earn. The more money you earn, the more points you score in the game of offense. But prestigious achievers focus on offense and defense. Now, when it comes to defense, this includes things like budgeting, having a financial plan, and saving and investing your money overall. You must have a budget and you must be able to know where your money goes, because if you don't, then this will lead to things like overspending. So a lot of the wealthy people and millionaires that he studied say that they have budgets and they know where all their money is going when it comes to food, transportation, clothes. They know down to the penny every single dollar that they're spending, so they can budget and plan certain things in certain areas to make their lives more efficient when it comes to their finances. Now, he talks about how you should treat your household like as if it was a business. Like in a business, you should know what money you're spending on investments, how much money you have in capital, and where that money is going. He said the same thing applies for a household, and both spouses have to be in agreement about their budget and how money goes. So underachievers really just focus on offense, and people have this perception or this fallacy that they think that the more money they make, that automatically means that they're gonna have higher chances of becoming wealthy. But what Thomas Stanley explains is that you can make a lot of money and, like we talked about, spend a lot of money, so that doesn't really equate to you having a lot of wealth and net worth at the end. You must be able to make money, but also be able to save money and be defensive with your money and not just go out and blowing it on things that you don't necessarily need. You have to be smart and budget your money so that your money can work for you at the end of the day. Now, the next point going along with this is that underachievers know a lot more about spending their money on products, and prestigious achievers know how to spend their money on investments and financial advice. So he gives a couple examples of people that he's interviewed that he would consider to be underachievers. They knew every sale at every store. They knew how to finagle to buy the best car or finagle to buy the best houses, but when it came to investments, they were illiterate. And the prestigious achievers are the ones that focus on becoming financially literate when it comes to investing, and they spend their money on financial services that includes like having a good CPA, having a good lawyer, and they worry more about professional services that can help them in the future versus just material things that they can buy now. So he was saying that you should really focus your money and focus your time and energy on educating yourself about, investments and ways to make more money and ways to be smarter with your money versus worrying about things that don't matter, like getting $5,000 off the next Gucci bag. Like, you have to have your priorities straight, and basically saying that you need to worry more about things that are gonna make you money versus things that are gonna take away money. And prestigious achievers focus on things that make them money. So now I had one of the biggest realizations after I read a portion of this book that talked about income tax. Now, you may not know this, and I didn't know this before I read this book, but income tax is the largest expense that most households have within the US. And what Thomas Stanley really made the point of is lowering your realized income or your taxable income and increasing your unrealized income or income that can't be taxed. So this goes into the point of people thinking that the more money you make, the more money that you're gonna keep. But being that income tax is one of the biggest expenditures that people have at the end of the year, then obviously the more money that you have or the more money that you claim that you make on your taxes, then the more money you're gonna end up paying in income. Now, this doesn't mean you should go avoid taxes. That's illegal. But there's ways that wealthy people use to get around paying enormous amounts of income tax. And they mainly do this by investing into real estate or just assets like stocks or bonds that appreciate over time, but you don't necessarily receive income from. And a lot of people gripe at the rich about, oh, they make so much money, but they don't pay taxes. And that's because they know how to move their money around so they can pay the least amount of taxes as possible. People that go out and spend all their money, you have to put that down on your taxes as realized or taxable income, and that's why they spend a lot of money on taxes. But the wealthy people put their money in investments or tax-free real estate, and they move their money around assets so that at the end of the year, the income that they're claiming is a lot less than what their actual net worth is worth through assets. Goes into the point that it really doesn't matter how much you make a year when it comes to becoming wealthy. There's been stories upon stories of people and that I've read about like, say, a janitor, for example, who retired a multi-millionaire because he was smart with his money. He may have only made $30,000 a year, but he knew how to work and save and invest his money over time so that he was able to have accumulated wealth by the time he was finished working. So necessarily, it isn't always a good thing to always be making a lot of income year over year, because you're just gonna end up spending more money in income taxes. So it's smarter to put your money in things and businesses that will take away from your overall yearly income so that you don't pay as much money when it comes to income taxes, and you'll still have wealth and net worth and other assets that make you money at the end of the year. So this was a really big point that he made in the book, talking about how the rich and millionaires lower their realized tax income and increase their unrealized or income that can't be taxed. And this is how they keep money. And the last point that Thomas Stanley really makes is that a lot of the millionaires and the wealthy people are self-employed or they have their own businesses. So he discussed in the book and how a lot of the underachievers usually are working at higher paying jobs, but they're working for somebody else. So they get comfortable in their situation. And a lot of the times these wealthy income earners are working in jobs that require them to impress other people or clients to be able to get their business. So this is another factor that relates to them spending more money on cars and houses to be able to impress their clients in order for them to get more business. And what Thomas explains in the book is that prestigious achievers will have careers and professions and in things like accounting or being a lawyer, or things that are niche jobs that can help other wealthy people. He talks a lot about how you should have a niche in the business that you have or the job that you work in, because say for example I am a accountant for taxes, then my services can be applied to a lot of wealthy people. A lot of their clients are multimillionaires and they get percentages based off of the work that they do. So it's important that you pick a good job or a good career path to follow that'll help you, create wealth for yourself. He also relates this to businesses, and when you open up businesses, that a lot of wealthy people will go into professional service businesses versus businesses that require products, because Thomas Stanley really made an important point about how somebody can take away your business and your products, but nobody can take away what you learned or your intellect. So if I'm an accountant or I'm a lawyer, my moneymaker is my brain, so nobody can take that away from me, and I can take that anywhere. When you have a products or different types of services, then the government can come take that away from you, and once that's taken away, then you have no way of making money. Not saying that you shouldn't go into certain types of businesses, but professionally and statistically, a lot of wealthy people go into businesses around their professions and that they can monetize, whether this is consulting work or things like that. So he makes it a point that it's really important what career path you pick and what businesses that you decide to go into. You should probably make it an effort to try to open up your own business and try to have be self-employed. So one, you're not working for somebody else, and two, you can create your own wealth and have your own path for success overall. So summing it up overall, he makes the points about being frugal, being smart with your money, not only being good on offense or making money, but being good at defense and budgeting and saving money, being frugal, living below your means. He's good about giving a lot of statistics about what actual millionaires do, so you guys should probably go give it a read for yourself and check it out. Make sure that you, like he said, keep learning about education and investments by reading books like this and other books on business and sales and marketing and investing, so that you can get to a certain point where have all the tips and success and discipline that you need to be able to create wealth for yourself. So this was pretty much it for the book. If you guys enjoyed this video or if you learned something, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Comment down below any other books that you guys want me to talk about in the future. Make sure you guys go check out the other book review I did on the psychology of money, which was another good book about the deep dives about finances and wealth in general. I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.